everyone, thanks for joining us today. In this episode, we'll take you to a Brooklyn boxing ring, discuss the new Forever GI Bill, and share with you stories of courage and a final tribute.
Known as the Cathedral of Boxing, Gleason's gym has trained hundreds of champions. Gleason's is now partnering with VA to offer free adaptive training to veterans.
It's an escape. It's an escape from problems maybe that affect me outside of the boxing gym, you know.
When I box, I feel like I'm flowing. Like my soul leaves my body when I'm punching, and I'm just looking from above, like, okay, you're throwing the punch right.
You want something to keep you going. You want your reflexes to demand your attention. I think that's why a lot of veterans in general love different kinds of adrenaline therapy, because it demands you to be in the now.
I'm sure a lot of vets get out, they got, a lot of stuff they go through, a lot of stuff they might not talk about.
Many people have a connection to the raw instincts of boxing, and learning those trainings, you get a feeling of wellness, feeling like you're able to move your hands and move your body in a productive way.
Coming back into civilian life, the transition and trying to mesh in, sometimes it gets stressful. These combat sports that the VA offers is a definite release.
I used to do boxing in the Army, and once I got out, I was like depressed, and I didn't really have that much friends, and I saw this flyer, and I saw boxing, and I said, I'm interested in it.
There is a level of physicality in training for any military service. There's a level of physicality in boxing training. So I think those two really come together and hit home with our veterans.
If I chase them around the ring for 20 minutes, their heart's pumping, good cardiovascular work. After a couple of weeks, they really start getting in better shape.
For any veteran to want to come box over here, all you have to do is go to the VA, just get a script saying that you're good and you're healthy enough to participate and box.
It's called Adaptive Sports Medical Clearance. And once they have that clearance lasts for a full year, they're ready to get into the program.
I can come here, I can unleash on a bag for a couple hours, and I can go home to my family.
If I came in frustrated, annoyed, confused, I couldn't concentrate, or I just felt scatterbrained, I usually always walk out the same. You leave with ultimate contentness.
When I walked in here, they made me feel at home. No one judged me. I felt like I was back in the unit again.
That camaraderie, that's what really makes it. For me, that's what really makes it.
To learn more about how you can take part in non-contact training with the professionals at Gleason's, visit VA Adaptive Sports at va.gov/adaptive sports.
When natural disasters bring fear and devastation, VA is there to respond by bringing critical services to communities in need. Here's a recent training exercise in Tampa.
What we have our situation, 7.7 magnitude earthquake in the New Madrid Fault area in northern Mississippi.
So this is an example of a casualty receiving center or exercise, and it would be similar to what we might do after real events like the earthquake in Haiti.
My role is just to ensure that the staff and everybody responding is following safe procedures and just to ensure the safety of the entire crew.
It's a really good experience just to know what could potentially happen in real life. So I've been really glad to be a part of this and to be able to see the teamwork involved.
Typically one knee, and on the head count, we'll lift.
All right, 1, 2, 3.
And it's straight up. And then of course they'll tell you to move out, forward, backwards, whichever way you gotta go.
This exercise has helped open our eyes to the trauma and the psychological impact that the family members might be experiencing, trying to locate family members. My responsibility is to scan the patients as they come in so that we'll be able to track them from the time of their arrival and make sure they get to the specific hospitals that they're being directed to.
Right now we're having our treatment and triage team is working diligently to get all of the patients taken care of before they're transported off to the outside facilities.
Came here just as an observer initially, but I got to get pulled in as a patient transporter, and so got to go on the plane, see a lot of the casualties, seen a lot of teamwork here, and it's been a really good experience.
That's one of the biggest things about something like this. This is a good news story showing how we support the community and support the nation at large, and we want the word to get out.
Even in the event of an emergency or natural disaster, VA continues to provide services to our nation's veterans and help our emergency response partners in the community. To learn more, visit blogs.va.gov. When we come back,
Post 9/11 GI Bill now being forever.
the Forever GI Bill and what's in it for you.
My name's Greg Smollett. I served in the United States Marine Corps. I did 2 combat deployments in support of Operation Iraqi Freedom. When I first joined and I heard about the VA, to me the VA was like if you got shot. I had no idea about all the other benefits and all that they do to help veterans to be able to transition out successfully.
These were taken up at Edmonton. Probably
Yeah.
You were about 3 months old.
It's nice to see you in your uniform.
Well, when I came back from Vietnam, I weighed 98 pounds. It looked like death warmed over. A lot of these veterans just don't know where to go when they get out of the service. I know when I got out, hell, I got a physical and they said goodbye, and you know, your retirement check starts showing up, but beyond that, you don't know.
I used the GI Bill to get my bachelor's in criminal justice. I've used the GI Bill throughout, even for my master's. And my children used my GI Bill for college, so they're graduates and debt-free.
I was able to use the VA home loan 2 years ago to buy our home with 0 money down. I was amazed that there was so much in place to really help the veterans, and the VA serves as that catalyst with all those resources.
The VA does a very good job on the medical side of it. I don't know of anybody who's been in the VA system that has any complaints. My primary care doctor is probably the best doctor I've ever had in my life. And I can say that. I've got a daughter who's a doctor, and let me tell you, this guy's as good or better than my daughter.
Lewis, one of my friends, good patient of mine. He only comes once a week, but I enjoy him.
She
really
comes in
enjoy.
special,
Yes,
early
I
in the
do.
morning.
Early in the morning.
For me.
The VA has been incredible to me. The doctors, the therapists, everybody over there is amazing. You know, they help me with adaptive equipment, got a hand cycle, so that's really helped me get out, get exercise, be around veterans, learn more, and it's been great. 4 years or so, we've been able to do a lot out here. We have a monthly barbecue every fourth Wednesday of the month where we bring a lot of VA inpatients out. There's some massage therapists in here, so get on the list there. They'll hook you up. They got magic hands. She's wonderful. Having that kind of connection with the rec therapist, it's fortunate that they can bring one-on-one veterans out here. Sometimes you think all is lost, you know, I'll never be able to do this again, but through meeting others and just getting them together, you know, it really does wonders to, you know, see that you can do anything. So I've been very thankful for everything they've done for me and our great partnership.
The first time I set foot in the VA, I literally left here feeling just so blessed.
There's so many things that vets just get out and they transition, they go, oh, I don't need that. But in actuality, when they understand what's available to them, their eyes are kind of open wide.
I'm pushing 80 years of age. I get the best care I could get anywhere.
I choose VA because I am their top priority. As a veteran, as a woman veteran, they put me and my health care first.
That's exactly why I choose VA.
In 2017, the Forever GI Bill became law, providing veterans with expanded access to the education benefits they've earned. I recently spoke with VA's Director of Education Services to learn more. What are some of the changes that the new Forever GI Bill offers?
The Forever GI Bill is really the most comprehensive set of updates and improvements to the post 9/11 GI Bill. The 15-year delimiting date, as we call it, or expiration date for the use of your post 9/11 GI Bill has been eliminated.
For those who lost their benefits due to a school closure, VA will restore those benefits. So what are the first steps that a veteran needs to take to restore those benefits?
Prior to the Forever GI Bill, the VA didn't have the legal authority to restore a student's entitlement should their school shut down abruptly. The Comerford Act provides us the authority to go back and restore entitlement all the way back to January of 2015. So if an individual was going to a school that closed down, we would be able to restore whatever number of months of entitlement that they used while they went to that school. So far, we've restored really over 5,800 months of entitlement to nearly 600 of our beneficiaries that were impacted by school closure.
What are some of the STEM programs that the new Forever GI Bill offers?
One of the great provisions in the Forever GI Bill is the STEM scholarship. The STEM scholarship is a way for those that are pursuing STEM degrees to get 9 more months of entitlement and up to $30,000 more toward that degree as part of the GI Bill. And this is a provision that's going to come into effect in 2019. So there'll be a lot more information coming out about that, about how to apply and all that. But it's again, another great enhancement to the GI Bill.
How does the Forever GI Bill affect spouses and dependents?
There are a number of great provisions and enhancements for spouses and dependents in the Forever GI Bill. The first one I would mention is the Frye Scholarship. If you're not familiar with the Frye Scholarship, it's where spouses and children of those who have been killed in the line of duty receive full post 9/11 GI Bill benefits, 36 months, along with the housing and the books stipend. One of the great things about the post 9/11 GI Bill is the service member can transfer it to their spouse or their children before they exit the service. Sometimes, as we know, tragedy can happen, and one of the children that was a recipient of those transferred benefits may pass away. So with the Forever GI Bill, the individual can then give it to another qualified individual.
What are some of the changes for the Survivors and Dependents Education Assistance Program? I believe that's called the DEA program.
A couple of changes with DEA, and that benefits the spouses and children of those who are permanently and totally disabled or who have died as a result of such a disability. Prior to this law, an individual could earn 45 months of the benefit. That's been reduced to 36 months. But there's another part of the law effective in October of this year that increases the amount paid to each individual depending on how, on their rate of pursuit in their academic programs. So there's an increase in the amount of money, but there's a decrease in the total number of months allowed now.
So are the survivors and dependents enrolling in the DEA program getting fewer benefits?
Well, it's a trade-off. There are fewer months of benefits, but they're getting paid more while they're going to school now.
Can you talk a little bit more about the technology programs that the Forever GI Bill is introducing?
In addition to the STEM scholarship, which we talked about, there's a pilot program called, we're calling it Vet Tech. And this is a pilot for 5 years for $15 million a year where the VA will contract with high technology training providers, programs or training programs that are not normally associated with GI Bill approval. And so the VA will contract with some number of these providers in order to provide high technology training for veterans. And the beauty of this pilot program is you can get into this program and not have any of your GI Bill entitlement charged to do it. It's essentially above and beyond your GI Bill. and you get paid housing while you're doing it.
What about Purple Heart recipients? Are their benefits expanded?
Purple Heart recipients deserve a special debt of gratitude from our nation, and the Comerford Act, Forever GI Bill, provides a little bit of that to our Purple Heart recipients by providing them the full GI Bill benefit, post 9/11 GI Bill benefit, regardless of how much time they served. Post 9/11 GI Bill is pretty much geared toward how much creditable time of service you have. If you serve 3 years of active duty, you'll be fully eligible at the 100% level. Anything less than that, then you're partially eligible. So this just says to Purple Heart recipients, you were wounded in battle. In recognition of that sacrifice that you made, you get the full GI Bill from the get-go.
Are there certain tools and resources that you would recommend to someone who would like to explore their education benefits?
On vets.gov, there's a host of information about the Forever GI Bill, and we also have links to some of our applications for various pieces of the bill.
What would you say to a veteran who hasn't explored the education benefits that they're entitled to?
The GI Bill comparison tool is a great tool to go to. We do that through our GI Bill website on vets.gov. It has just a wealth of information about approved programs that are out there. It has all the GI Bill approved programs, to include OJTs and apprenticeships that one might want to apply for. It talks about issues related to that school, whether they have a veterans organization on campus, whether they commit to the principles of excellence, whether they have complaints against them. There are also many other tools out there. For example, the Choosing a School Guide on our website just kind of walks the individual through all the things they should be thinking about as they decide on what kind of academic program and school to go to. Things like, is the school accredited? How is it accredited? Are there articulation agreements, meaning will they be able to transfer their credits if they happen to transfer out of that school to another school? If you're using your GI Bill benefits, go to vets.gov, GI Bill comparison tool. And if there's any questions about it, they can either ask them through their website or call our call center at 888-GI-BILL-1. There's just a lot of places to go to get information and use those benefits wisely.
For the full interview or to learn more about the Forever GI Bill, visit Vantage Point at blogs.va.gov. When we come back, we'll meet Army Veteran Ardrena Bailey, an award-winning adaptive athlete.
We grew up together. We believed in something bigger than ourselves. The military took me to one side of the world and her to the other. And even though she was always the strong one, when we caught up years later, I found out she had fallen on some hard times. It was her call to make, but doing it together made all the difference.
When I see homeless vets on my route, I always think to myself, we both swore an oath to protect our way of life, to protect our community. With VA's hotline for homeless vets, I can get them connected with help to get them back on their feet again.
VA's round-the-clock hotline can put veterans who are homeless in touch with the resources and support they earned through their military service. You have the power to help a veteran facing homelessness. Go to va.gov/homeless to print your wallet cards. For veterans who are homeless or on the brink of homelessness, call 877-424-3838.
Welcome back to the American Veteran. Each year, the National Veterans Wheelchair Games presents the Spirit of the Games Award to the veteran who exemplifies athletic achievement, leadership, and support of their fellow veterans. Let's meet this year's winner.
Okay, this is a good one, wasn't it? Okay, this one was in June 1977. My maiden name is Sutton, Ardrena Sutton, okay? I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis in November 1990. As my disability increased, I was still mentally competent, but I became depressed. It was very hard for me, and I started to go to the VA hospital where I had a lot of support. I really started getting involved in this wheelchair games. It gave me a sense of well-being. It made me feel like I could do more than what I could do, because when you go to the games and you see 90% of people in wheelchair, you're not alone.
Watching Ardrena compete is so cool. It's so funny because she's, the most outgoing, smiley person you'll ever meet. But once she gets out on the bocce court, it's all business. Her face turns to steel and she's there to win.
VA has made an attempt to, once veterans come out, to keep them busy, to keep their minds from becoming stagnant, keep them alert, to keep them out of depression. If I didn't do sports, I'm not physically fit, but if I didn't have this to keep me going, I couldn't make it. With MS and any debilitating illness, if you don't have something to keep you going or motivating, you lose it. You lose everything. So the little bit I do is a lot.
Ardrena credits sports with giving her moral and mental stability, keeping her busy and moving forward. The 2018 National Veterans Wheelchair Games will be in Orlando, Florida, July 30th through August 4. To learn more about the Wheelchair Games, visit wheelchairgames.org.
Navy Fireman First Class Charles Ogle was killed during the attack on Pearl Harbor. Unidentified, F1C Ogle was interred in a mass grave at the National Memorial Cemetery of the Pacific until years later when his remains were identified using DNA analysis. Last month, F1C Ogle finally came home.
It's vitally important not only for us today, but those of the past and those of the future that understand the sacrifice that this gentleman made on 7th December 1941. As President Roosevelt said, it was a day that will live in infamy.
Even 76 years later, we grieve. But as we grieve, we also rejoice. We rejoice in the freedom that was provided and continues to be provided for us. Fireman First Class Ogle was only 20 years old whenever he was taken from this earth, when his ship was torpedoed and capsized at Pearl Harbor. We can only imagine the life that he would have been able to live had that not happened. We'll continue to make sure that his name is spoken, that his story is told. We will make sure that he lives forever and is remembered for his sacrifice to this country.
It is coming home. Everybody knows that Mr. Ogle was from Missouri, and so the opportunity to repatriate his remains right here at Jefferson Barracks is a tremendous honor for the people here that serve here. We get to serve veterans every day, and to have somebody of his stature who was killed in action during Pearl Harbor is a tremendous honor on our part.
VA has partnered with the Defense POW MIA Accounting Agency to identify all USS Oklahoma casualties interred at the National Memorial Cemetery of the Pacific. To learn more, visit blogs.va.gov.
That's it for this edition of The American Veteran. We're honored to bring these stories to you.
These stories and more can be found online at VA's blog Vantage Point. Visit us at blogs.va.gov for more stories from the veteran community.
Check out the Veterans Channel on Defense TV apps, and please follow our social media channels.
And subscribe to our podcast, Born in the Battle, available in your app store.
Thanks for watching. See you next time.